Welcome back to this week's episode of Potions and Processing. I'm your host, Raven White. In last week's episode, we talked about the diagnosis of multiple sclerosis and a little bit about the journey of getting there. And then my partner and I went on a little staycation, kind of a staycation, not really a staycation, now that I think about it. A staycation is technically where you stay at home, yeah? I went to... We went to an Airbnb, like a local one, just kind of chilled, home away from home, took away some time from our day-to-day life so we could process everything, pretend it didn't exist, sort of, because you can't really escape it when it's in your body. But, just sort of took some space, took some time just for us, and it was nice. Took a weekend away from everything. Of course, I got punished for that because I'm exhausted and in pain, but it's okay. It's okay. I'm feeling and looking a little rough today, so please bear with me. We're going to get through this together. I talked a little bit about going to the doctor and being prepared and having like a list of things to show, to like prove the symptoms I was having to back up my narrative. And I thought I would just show you what I meant by that in case it would be helpful for other people going to the doctor so that you had a form of reference. Because I don't know if you're like me, but having visuals is super important, and I am a visual learner. The very first note that I took to the doctor was on a scrap of paper, like this. And this is the note that I took to my pain doctor to go over everything I could think of that I was experiencing in the moment, and I just kind of jotted it down as quick as I could. So, as you can see, just kind of what I could think of in the moment. Not anything super profesh or inspired or organized, but it was enough for me to keep my thoughts collected. I will just read through some of them. Severe cramps in legs, cramping in hands, buzzing in limbs, now through the whole body, painful tingling in fingertips, extreme fatigue, extreme brain fog. And then later on, I remembered numbness in face along with parts of the body, and I wrote it on the side. I was trying to keep groups of similar symptoms together so that I could get through groups of things instead of having it all spread out, because I felt like that would help me tackle the problems better. So underneath extreme brain fog, I had struggling with short-term memory, word recall and word slurring, losing focus mid-conversation. And so then that wrapped up like the cognitive and what I thought was more neurological things. Then I moved on to things that I thought were more physical symptoms, because I did not realize that all of them were neurological, but just manifested in different ways. So I moved on to things that were more physical. Poor circulation. I have Raynaud's, so my fingers and toes will turn white when they get really cold. Extreme joint pain after basic activity. Limb weakness and tremors. Pressure pain around chest. Feels like hugging makes it hard to breathe. Coat hanger pain. Coat hanger pain is pain that goes from your neck down and into your shoulder. So imagine a coat hanger and put it right here from your neck and across your shoulders, and that's coat hanger pain. Chin to chest pain, that is where you are existing and you can put your chin to your chest and you get pain down your spine. I think it's mostly down your spine. That's where I experience it. It's like an electrical zap. Super fun. It's not. Extreme foot pain, difficulty walking, almost feels like full body neuropathy. Oh, and then in the side here, I had written issues with heat, passing out, can't take hot showers anymore. It gives me racing heart. And then I moved on to my face, back to my face again. I had changes to my vision. I'm really sensitive to sunlight. Sometimes I have blurriness in my adjustment of vision, and I have peripheral blurriness. So those were all of the things that I went to the doctor with, to my pain doctor with. And he did not know I was coming with this list. So I have chronic back pain. We're going to rewind just a little bit. I've had chronic back pain my entire life. I don't exactly still know what is the root cause of it. I'm wondering now if part of it is caused by the MS and the breakdown in communication between my brain and my body. Now that I know that I have likely had MS for a really long time. 2 years ago, I can't believe I'm coming up on 2 years ago already. 2 years ago, my back pain got really, really bad. I was doing my day-to-day job that I work with my partner. I was baking cookies, and I was lifting the tray of cookies out of the oven and putting it down on the tray to cool. And I felt something like almost kind of pop or twist in my back. And all of a sudden it hurt terribly to walk, but not too much to walk. I could still walk, but it was much more painful than usual because, again, I'd had chronic back pain in my life. And when I started to have flare-ups of pain, I knew how to manage it and nurse it like back to health, so to speak. This time it had kind of pushed past that point. So I went to go see a chiropractor at the advice of some family members. And this is where some medical mistakes happened, in my opinion. Now, I know there's lots of opinions about chiropractors, and I'm not really here to speak on any of the opinions of chiropractic. I've had done chiropractic services before in the past, and they had helped me. So I went back and I explained what was happening, and it was a new pain in my back that I had not been seen before. The chiropractor didn't do any x-rays, which should have been a red flag because he had done x-rays before for problems I'd had in my shoulders, but he did not do any x-rays on my back. He did an adjustment. He just did an adjustment instead, and I didn't get better. It actually felt a lot worse afterwards, and he said that was normal and I should just go home and I needed to be active. We would just wait and see what happened, but that I should be fine. I did not get better. I was not fine. I did a couple more adjustments and I just kept getting worse, and the pain was just awful. It was just terrible. It felt like something was pinching so bad in my back, and it was awful. I had the most terrible time walking, sleeping, moving. Nothing felt comfortable. You might have guessed by now that had to do with a herniated disc perhaps, or a bulging disc perhaps, and then my sciatic nerve in my back. And I believe that it was a bulging disc, a protrusion that was pinching my sciatic nerve. It was not yet herniated though, because in the shower, not too long after my last adjustment, I just barely moved just the right way. I don't know, when I was trying to get out of the shower, I pulled the curtain and something definitely popped that time in my lower back. And it was the worst, most horrific pain I'd ever had in my life. And I doubled over, could not walk, could not do anything. And I was screaming across the house, begging for someone to come and help me. This time I went right to the ER, where I had to wait 2 hours to be seen while I cried and insisted that I was going to die because it hurt that badly. It was a herniated disc. It was pinching my sciatic nerve. They put me on a really, really heavy dose of steroids to bring down the inflammation and some painkillers to knock me out, or close to knock me out, and bring down my pain levels. And then after that, I went and saw a back specialist because I just wanted to follow up and make sure that if I needed physical therapy, I could get that. And so I did do physical therapy for a while because I just felt like I wasn't improving the way that everybody said I was supposed to be. Because when I went and I saw the back specialist, she said, yes, you have a herniation here, but it's not a big deal. And you're young and you should be bouncing back and you should be just fine. It's not a big deal. So I did physical therapy and I got better to a point. but I was still having a lot of pain in my lower back. And anytime I would try to resume normal activities, the pain would flare up in my back again. And I would feel like, oh my God, it's going to herniate again. I'm going to repeat the cycle. And so I ended up finding this pain doctor who ended up doing shots in my back. So I had just gotten a shot and I was going for the follow-up a week later to see him and make sure that I was doing okay. And during that time, I was in the middle of going crazy from my cognitive problems and being like, I think I actually need help with this. Maybe I'm not actually crazy. Maybe this is real. So I had started to keep track of things at that point, and I had built up enough of a record for myself at that point to be like, no, it's not in my head. This is real. And I'm also in therapy. I have been in therapy for 5 years. And so I was talking to my therapist about this also. She felt very strongly that I should talk to my doctor about this because she didn't think it was in my head either. So when I showed up to my pain doctor's office, he was expecting just a routine check-in after my injection. And I had a list of, here's all these extra bonus things. And you're the only doctor that I think might actually take me seriously. And the reason why I felt like he was the only doctor who was going to take me seriously is because the last 2 years that I'd been struggling with my back pain, I'd seen a multitude of doctors. I'd seen a couple of surgeons. The first surgeon had told me that I was too fat, that he wouldn't help me because I was fat, and that my problem was that I needed to lose weight, that my back pain and my back problems were because I was fat. Am I fat? Yes, I am. And one thing I can tell you and guarantee you is you do not need to tell a fat person that they are fat. We know. And I can also guarantee you my problems are not because I am fat. My back problem was not because I was fat, because I lost 50 pounds during the last 2 years, and my back problems did not get better. They just continued to get worse. We're going to talk more about him, though, in another video, because there was more to that story. But that was one experience that I had. But I kept getting told over and over again, it's not a big deal. It's not that big of an injury. You're obviously doing something, or you're not listening to the medical advice, or you're young, you'll be fine, which is absolute crap because young people get sick and young people have problems and young people don't deserve to be dismissed. I eventually got a new primary care doctor because I felt like I was running out of options and I needed a referral to get a pain doctor. So I went to a primary care doctor for the only purpose of getting a referral, and she gave me a referral, and she ended up being a really nice doctor. She gave me the referral and I went to him, and I went in with like guns blazing, expecting to have to fight. He pulled out my MRI, he looked at it, and he was like, no, yeah, that's a really serious injury. Your pain is real, and I 100% believe you. And I immediately broke down and cried. Living in pain is really, really hard, especially when you are constantly having to prove it. And it's especially difficult when you are a woman, a femme-presenting person, and you are fat. The odds are just stacked against you, man. The odds are just stacked against you because they don't want to listen to anything you have to say. And that's just the way that it is. It's just a nasty piece of the medical world. And it's something that I have had to deal with chronically during my journey through the medical world. And I've learned a couple of things about how to navigate that, and we'll talk about it because I think it's important for people to learn. He he took me seriously, and that's how I got my brain scans. But it started with this list. And the real credit, the real hero of this story is me, because I advocated for myself and I went in with a point. And that is a really important thing. If you take anything away from this video, take these things away, please. If you're going to a doctor visit and you want to get something out of it, make sure you're going in with a clear point. Don't be afraid to get yourself a notebook. Is this on the nose? I'm a nerd. This is my medical notebook. Yeah. By the time that I went and saw my neurological doctor, I had a much better outline ready. I have to block off the top part because it has like the medications that I take, and I feel like we don't want that out there. But as you can see, or maybe you can't, I had a much more thorough, organized list. And this continues on. That's just the first page. I went in with these are all symptoms. These were all symptoms of things I was experiencing with dates and lengths of time that I could remember them happening. And that is really important. Dates, lengths of time, specific symptoms. Those are incredibly helpful when you are trying to get diagnostic testing for anything. So if I can give you any kind of helpful thing in this video, this would be the most helpful piece from this video. Make a list, make it thorough, and include dates and time. And while you're experiencing symptoms, and I know that this can be a lot because many of our symptoms can be very unpleasant, but while you're experiencing them, if you can think about it, check the date, check the time. How long is it lasting for? If it's something like a migraine, length of time can be very helpful. Dizzy spells can be very helpful. If you can remember dates, if you can think of when things started happening, can be very helpful. If you have people in your life who are around you a lot that are aware of things happening in your life, if you can go back in conversations, if you can search conversations. I've done that. I've done that when, with my memory problems, I've gone back and I've searched conversations for keywords so that I could kind of look for a frame of reference for when things I might have mentioned when things started to kind of go awry for me. And there is nothing too small for you to not mention. If it bothers you, if it's bothering your body, mention it. Don't leave anything out because you don't know what could be interlocked. I was talking to a friend of mine, and one thing that she mentioned that I really very much agree with is the specialists have a pro and con in that they can look very intensely at a special part of your body, but they're not very good at looking at your body as a whole. So mention your body as a whole and force them to. And if they can't, then make sure you're getting referrals to look at all of the pieces of your body so that you can get your body looked at. And I'm also very aware that this also comes from a place of privilege because not everybody has access to medical care and medical coverage. And we sometimes have to sacrifice one thing for another. I hope that if you're watching this video, that you are able to get the medical care that you need and that you deserve to have. And I want that to be clear. You deserve good medical care, and you should not just settle for a doctor just because you have one. If you don't feel like your needs are being met, if you don't feel like your doctor is listening to you, you are allowed to say that. And you are allowed to look for a new one. You are allowed to ask for a new one, and you can report them if they are saying harmful or toxic things to you. Just throwing that out there. That's this episode of Potions and Processing. We're going to talk about more of my medical journey, my chronic illness, and some things that I've experienced in my journey. And I hope that it's helpful for you because it's not easy advocating for yourself. It can be really hard and intimidating. When you are in the office setting, Sometimes the way that they talk and the way that they speak and the terminology that they use, they can make you feel a certain way. But then afterwards, when you've had time to digest it and you think on it, afterwards you might be like, I'm not sure I like that. I've experienced that many times, and even recently still. And there's no shame in that. It's not your fault. And it's okay if that happens to you. You shouldn't have to experience it. And we shouldn't have to be so up and up learning how to advocate for ourselves. But when we are chronically ill, especially as women, as femme presenting people, as fat people, as any marginalized group, as queer people, we have to be. So I'm going to teach you what I know. Not that I know a lot and not that I know everything, but I'm going through a new journey now with everything that's happening. So I'm just going to take you with me through it. I can't remember if I mentioned this at the beginning of the video, but tomorrow I'm going for a second opinion through a new hospital system. And I am really excited and impressed because I called expecting like months of wait, considering the months of wait I've had through my current hospital system. And they got me in tomorrow. And I was like, I was shocked. I asked the lady on the phone, I was like, I'm sorry, tomorrow? I asked them like 3 times, are you sure it's tomorrow? Because I've had to wait months and months and months for care. So I'm really excited about tomorrow. I hope it will go well, and I'm interested to compare my 2 experiences and see what it's like. And yeah, advocate for the best care possible for the diseases that we have. Remember, we may be different species, but we are all part of the same family. So please be kind to yourself, be kind to others, and I will see you next week.